Hi, and welcome back to the power of words and language. Today I'm going to talk about soul and spirit. Now these are words that are used interchangeably all the time. And for once I'm not going to quibble about that too much, because there's massive debate in theology and semantics across the board about the difference or similarities between these two words. And they are, I think, quite rightly often used interchangeably. But I think it is important for other reasons to draw a distinction, to help ourselves understand more about ourselves, to understand or to create in our own minds a difference between soul and spirit. And I think that can really help us. So first I'm going to look as usual at the dictionary definitions. And I'm going to start with spirit, where in the Oxford languages, which is usually the first thing that comes up on Google there, it says, as a noun, the non-physical part of a person which is the seat of emotions and character, the soul. That's really, really helpful when you're trying to draw a distinction between soul and spirit. I don't happen to agree with that definition. I think that that is more properly the definition of soul, but I'll go on to explain why. I also think that spirit is sometimes used as describing the prevailing or typical quality, the mood or attitude of a person, a group, a period of time, the spirit of the age. It is often referred to in mythology or in theological writing as the animating force, right? The spark that is the difference between life and death. Spirit gives life. Something without spirit is dead. And I think that is more helpful for the distinction that I'm trying to draw here. Of course, a spirit is also a word for a ghost, a demon, a fairy, an angel, something like that. The Holy Spirit, obviously, being the giver of life in biblical terms. So spirit has all these wide uses and, as I say, interchangeably with soul. So let's look at soul. Now, that's defined as the spiritual or immaterial part of a human or animal regarded as immortal, sometimes regarded as immortal. I like to think of it as the center of the conscious self, right? That combination of mind, character, thoughts, and feelings that makes us us, that makes us unique. In biblical terms, it's a breathing creature. It refers to life. It refers to that combination of the physical and eternal. And so there, and this is getting to the nub of what I want to talk about, soul is a kind of interface between matter, the physical, and spirit. And I think that that's really, really important. I think it's important for a lot of reasons to think of your soul, what makes you you, what makes you unique, as responding to spirit, which is a far more general and non-unique thing. So let me talk about this more. I think that the soul is that constant part of us that connects us to every stage of our life. So if you think about the fact that what is the connection between, say, the 5-year-old you and the adult you? There's not a single cell of your body that's the same. You're not the same size. You're not the same person by any stretch of the imagination. You know more, you don't believe the same things, you interact with people in different ways, your voice is different. Everything's different between you and the 5-year-old you, and yet the 5-year-old you is still you and you are still you. And what is the constant between those states, between the person we are every day, every year, and so on, is what I refer to as our soul, that collection of thoughts, emotions, experiences that make you uniquely you. Because there is no other particular factor that makes you unique. And people can talk about fingerprints, for example, or your DNA. But that can be shared with another person if you're an identical twin. Not fingerprints, I believe, but you know what I mean. Is that even the cells on your finger that make up the print change all the time. And so we need a sense of core identity, and that's why I like to think of the soul in that way. It's what makes us unique. Now, what I mean by drawing a distinction with spirit is that I think spirit is that part of us that connects to the divine. It's, and depending on your particular proclivities, art, music, nature, the cosmos, God, consciousness. Spirit is what inhabits those things, what is alive, what sparks life in us, what sparks a response from our soul. And so soul connects this meat suit to spirit. And I think that that is a helpful distinction. And I think it's helpful, and of course begs the question, well, why draw a distinction at all? I think if we have this clear conception of the difference, we can feed, nurture, nourish our soul at an individual level. And that's what Kezra's Soul Food course is about. That's what Soul Food Sundays here on Conversations Worth Having is about. It's feeding, finding what feeds your soul and doing more of it for all the reasons laid out in that course. And the other side of that is for us to connect, interact, and recognize spirit. Soul, in other words, is inward for us, and spirit is outward for the world. And so we align our souls with the universe. We get into flow by interacting with the spirit. And that gives us direction. It gives us something to hold on to look at spirit, to look at that we call divine, and align with it through our souls, and thereby linking our physical existence to our spiritual existence via our souls. I hope you find that helpful. I know it's a little more esoteric than what I usually cover, and I'd love to hear your comments and questions in the DMs here on Instagram or through the website. Let's engage in a conversation about this, because I'm not being definitive. I'm saying why the distinction between soul and spirit is important to me and how I think it might help you to draw the same distinction. Thanks for listening, and we'll speak again soon.